little while. But if he has not learned a specific basic skill, the question is not if he will come off the field, but when he is coming home. So what is this basic necessary skill? It is the same skill that David had in our text. I don't know if you're familiar with the story, but before David ever became king, which is what 1 Samuel is dealing with, David was basically what we would call an outlaw in Israel. And Saul, the king, was trying to kill him most of the time. As time passed in David's life, people who found themselves in similar positions, kind of outlawed, would join David. They would join with their families until he really actually had quite a band of people. David was basically the leader of a private army, if you want to think of it in that terms, but they had their families and all with them. They had been out doing their thing, and one day he comes back to their base camp, and they find, according to this passage of Scripture, they find that the Amalekites have come. The Amalekites have taken everything, not just the junk. They have taken the wives, they have taken the kids, they have taken the livestock, they have taken everything. And anything they didn't take, they burned. Amazingly enough, I think this is an interesting side note of the Lord, they didn't kill anybody. That's really a very important point in this. They didn't kill anybody, which is amazing. But they just took them all captive. Put yourself in that position. You come home tonight and find that all of your junk is gone, your house is burned to the ground, but your wife and your kids are gone. And not just that, but all of the families that you're close to, they're all gone too. The grief was so overwhelming, it just was almost unstatable. It wasn't just one or two families, but everybody. All the family and the friends of the family were all gone. Now, I don't have time to get into all this. When people are in grief, they do really strange things. And so whenever I'm dealing with people who are in grief, like the loss of a family, you got to watch out for people when they're in grief because they do really strange things. Just file that in the back of your mind. People do strange things under grief. These people, David's friends, are under serious grief. They have joined him because they wanted to. They were volunteers in his band. But they are so grief-struck, they are talking about killing David. They're going to stone him. I don't suppose it mattered much to them that David had lost just as much, if not more, than they had. He was in grief himself. But they had grief, and they were going to take it out on somebody. What does David do in that moment? He has a skill that every missionary has to have. David couldn't turn to his family for help. They were gone. He couldn't turn to his friends for help because they were all picking up